Well, baby Cupid is flying his little ass around the room, and he just shot two darts into Amy and I's asses.
Ouch.
That's right. It's Valentine's Day, and Amy and I were stricken by Cupid's arrow, and that makes us have beautiful love heart eyes towards everything that we see today. And that's why you and I have absolutely wonderful heart eyes for the premiere episode of Summer House. Could we be any more in love?
Did you love it?
I was having the time of my life. Yeah, it felt very, very comforting to be back in the wheelhouse that I truly know. Like all of the nuance of and the wonderful house. It felt very comforting. I felt like I was in good hands. I mean, Vanderpump Rules, and for me is, obviously top tier, the thing I think about every single minute of my life. But then I think Summer House is right there, right after. And it felt just good to meet up with all these people again after they've been through so much turmoil last season.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy that it really picks up where it left off. Like, there was barely a break, like they essentially film all year. Like, I don't know, like it felt not that much longer.
You mean in between?
Yeah.
Like we knew everything basically in the interim that has happened.
Yeah, like it was only, like 2 months later or whatever, because it was, the reunion was in March.
Yeah, it was a pretty quick turnaround for sure. It feels like we're getting right in the aftermath of everything that happened, at the reunion and with the Lindsay stuff being very like contemporary and happening. It all feels very, of the moment. Like we're getting a huge slice of the Summer House life right now.
Yeah.
How did you feel about it overall?
It was fun. I mean, it started right off the bat with my greatest trigger, Lindsay Hubbard being annoying.
Remind me, what did she do right at the start?
Well, I just mean the first episode. Like,
Oh, just
commandeering the entire household to make it about her. And I'm like, okay, so glad you're here.
yeah. I mean, so it gives me joy because, and Lindsay brings me joy. I don't know if I say that enough. Lindsay brings me joy because Lindsay is honestly, I know that I'm, like we have a little bit of a difference of opinion here, but Lindsay brings me joy because she's about as entertaining as you can be with being the least self-aware that you can ever be.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's a horrible combination, but sometimes that's entertainment dynamite or whatever a good thing is that happens. You know what I mean? So Lindsay, we'll just step on it, but we'll talk about it as we recap. Lindsay dedicating 30 minutes to taking up everybody's time in the living room to go through her 8-year history on Summer House to a bunch of people that were rolling their eyes and being bored as hell is an iconic thing to witness because of what it means in terms of Lindsay sometimes not being able to read the room in any way. And a lot of people, you don't get moments like that.
It's very Ramona-esque.
Yeah, in a way, for sure. So I thought that Lindsay really delivered for me personally, and but I totally understand.
I have to separate the art from the artist.
It's art. It is art that Lindsay is creating on Summer House. Well, before we step race in, it's Valentine's Day. I have to ask you, what are you doing for it?
Chilling. I'm not like big into that stuff. We're probably going to go to like happy hour and watch like The Pit on HBO Max.
Oh, hell yeah. I've been getting a little glimpse in The Pit from you guys talking in one of our text groups about The Pit. And I loved everything I read about it. Is it good and worth watching?
I mean, it's like corny. The dialogue is kind of like they're like, okay, Four Eyes. Like it's like, like kind of like they chide each other in a sort of eye roll way. But I love the medical element. I love trying to guess what the diagnosis will be.
Oh,
it's
wow.
a little bit gory because it's on Max, like in a way that ER couldn't be.
Is a diagnosis ever like, it's cancer?
I mean, sometimes it's really fucked up. There's like a kid, sorry, spoiler, but it's clear pretty quickly, like who like ODs on pills and is brain dead now. And his parents have to like find out that he has no brain activity. It's like super brutal sometimes.
Oh, okay. I sorry to laugh. I was just thinking it'd be funny if on a medical show, if they're like, oh, he came in, and it's, it's not at all anything absurd in any way. You know what I mean? It's
yeah. I mean, some of them are goofy as hell. Like a kid had like a twisted nut and like whatever that's called.
Twisted nut syndrome.
Yeah. He's twisted. But then sometimes it's dark.
Oh, shit. Okay. I don't like medical stuff at all. I've never told you that before.
I assumed that wouldn't be fun for you.
Yeah, I don't like anything about it. Like, doctor, my
don't
heart
give me
hurts
the
so
news.
much. Yeah. Oh, I made it to, speaking of horrible, horrible medical ailments, my anxiety, I made it alive to Florida. I don't think I mentioned that to anybody.
Yeah. How did those pills work for you?
It was good. I pretended that they didn't work. Like I was saying, oh, I don't feel a thing. Like I wasn't like passed out. Like I heard half a Xanny bar and I would be absolutely rolling my eyes back in my head asleep. But I didn't have that reaction to it, but it definitely lessened my anxiety because I was going through turbulence, and normally I would be like asking the flight attendant, where can I go to die in the bathroom? But I didn't have that. But also it was a remarkably good flight. I've never had a flight like that. There only was a little shimmer of turbulence for maybe 10 minutes total, so for me, I don't know if it was just a dream flight.
Yeah.
Or maybe Xanax helped me a little bit. But the pilot, unfortunately, made me really uncomfortable. She was a kind of a joking pilot. And she goes, I'm going to go fast as hell. I'm going to break the speed barrier with the plane. We have an estimated arrival of 4 hours and 17 minutes, but I want to make it in 2 hours. But I didn't know if she was actually talking. And I had to say, please fly the appropriate speed because I don't want to go faster than normal on this plane.
Wow. You had a DEI pilot?
Oh my God, no! No, she had been flying planes since she was 18 years old, she said.
I think it was a DEI hire.
No,
that's probably better for you, actually.
No, she explained her full resume. No, she had tons of experience. It was just unfortunately.
It was Hannah Einbinder.
No, some of the humor. No, she didn't even say that she had a father that was a pilot. Some of her humor was a little too irreverent for me. I was scared. She was going, if you want to take your seatbelts off before the seatbelt sign is even off, go ahead. And I was
She's
I don't
smoke cigs. I don't care.
It was kind of a little too irreverent, but she ended up taking us. She didn't go faster than normal, 1,000 miles per hour. We got there 4 hours basically. So a great flight. That's it on that. I wanted to tell everybody that I survived, and the Xanax I think really helps. So if anybody has access to Xanax, I really think that I don't know. It was
it's not dangerous at all.
It was perfect for me. There was one pill, and I was just having the time of my life. So
did you watch anything?
You know what? I listened to just podcasts. There was so much Penny stuff going on. Penny requires about 75% of my entertainment lens. So I was having so much fun just like seeing her react and do stuff. But then I had a podcast in the whole time. I don't even remember what I listened to. Some podcast I downloaded. But this is one of my first times that I haven't watched like a bunch of films and stuff. I didn't even think about it.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, good.
Congrats.
Yeah, so that's what I'm doing for my Valentine's Day. I'm celebrating a huge win for getting to Florida alive, and I'm glad that you're going to watch The Pit and go to a bar. And I hope, Little Turtle Cuties, I hope you all have a wonderful Valentine's Day, too. I hope maybe this is something that you could put on with your significant other and just kind of drink a glass of wine and look at each other in the eyes and listen to this. Mood. Get in the mood. Turn us off at any point. But anyway, yeah, so good. All right, so Valentine's Day is done. News, we didn't really have to cover anything. We already talked about that, right?
I think there wasn't that much.
Yeah, it was pure shit. I looked at Page 6 Bravo, the section on Page 6. That's my favorite source. And the only thing that happened in the last 2 days was Lisa Rinna explains why sex is different and better with Harry after 60.
Check, please.
Yeah, well, I looked at the article, and I was glad it came out on Valentine's Day, so I understood why they were talking about sex. But she said that she and Harry are just so much more confident in the bedroom. Sorry to get textual, but if this is the news I read. But she said they're much more confident than they were before. She said in their 30s and 40s, there were still some... hesitation on.
Happy for them. Oh, you did remind me that when Lisa was on Andy's radio show that he was trying to remind her of a moment from Roni or something, because she was on Roni for like one episode, and he was like, remember with that woman with the margarita mix?
Oh my God, you sent me that, and I raised both of my eyebrows. I said, oh my God, to reference Bethany like that. Like, Andy is still fucking pissed. He hasn't forgotten that Bethany went full-blown drone head and didn't...
If only the drones would have happened sooner, she would have left Bravo unscathed. She needed a project, you know?
I was just thinking about the reality reckoning. I mean, oh my God, what? I mean, no offense, but oh my God, nobody thinks about that shit anymore. Bethany went on to drones. Bravo is having this... I mean, not a renaissance. It's always doing great, but like people are in the thrall of Bravo like never before. I mean, case closed, Your Honor.
Yeah. The end.
Yeah. So that was it. Lisa Rinna, you said the Bethany thing. He called her the person that sells margarita mix, right?
Yeah. Brutal.
Oh my God. So he is not ready for the Bethany redemption in any way yet.
Yeah, I'd be afraid to scorn her, frankly. Like, she has so much time on her hands, she'll create a whole campaign against you.
Yeah. Do you think she's doing, do you think she's doing good overall?
I mean, she posts like 10 videos a day, still. She seems a little less unhinged as of like very recently. She's not talking about the drones as much, although... she will bring stuff up and just imply that something horrible is going on. And she's like, I don't know how much I should say because I don't want to scare everyone and there's nothing I can do about it. And I'm like, how about by like not saying weird shit like that to like millions of people?
Who else is still thinking about the drones?
Probably a lot of people, actually.
Are they still going over New Jersey every day?
I haven't heard that. But again, like she said, the mainstream media is not covering the drones. So how would I know?
That's true. All right. Well, we'll get back into drone stuff pretty soon.
I mean, I didn't want to bring it up with you before, but like now everyone's hyper aware of like plane stuff, and she's saying it's all connected. So she's taking a win on that because she's like, see, I told you.
Because drones are getting in the... I mean, I was looking out my window looking for incoming drones. I didn't see one. But, well, all right. Well, I think I haven't checked in on Bethany. I hope she's doing good. I hope that she will take that Andy Cohen slight and not go scorched earth again. I hope she just realizes, hey, that's the least Andy could do as a little bit of a, casting aspersion towards Bethany.
Yeah. All right. Well, should we dive into the summer house pool?
Yes, let's please do it. I have to ask overall, before we get into it, what the hell did you think about this episode overall?
It was fun. I am unsure about the newbies, but at the least, I think it'll be, I don't know. I think we do need sexy singles. I do think that is the point of the show. But it is strange to have both it go in that direction. Like we didn't even meet one of the people that will be on yet, but it sounds like he is like doing fuckathons.
He's a total fuck guy. He goes, the first thing out of his... he likes to have sex guy. He goes, I went in a room one time and there was a sex swing in it. And everybody's like, oh my God. And then he goes...
His name is Emerald?
Emerald? Oh yeah. And then they go, how many times have you had sex? And he goes, today. And he goes, 2. Once in the morning and once at night. And it's like, oh my God, Emerald, twice a day?
Yeah. So it's interesting that that's happening on one end, and then there's like a pregnant house member on the other end. I'll preface this by saying that I dug in online to see what the takes are. On Twitter, it would appear that Carl is still loathed.
Oh my God, no way.
Lindsay is still celebrated. She has every right to be in the house. She should be there.
Oh, of course. I don't disagree with that.
No, but like there's the other opinion of like that it's weird to go.
Well, here's what I mean. I don't fault anyone for saying that. I don't fault anyone for saying that. But I also think Lindsay should do what,
Of course she can do whatever she wants. She has free will. But like I'm allowed to be like, I think it's weird to want to go to a party house where the whole point is to drink and fuck while you're in your first trimester.
Is that the whole point? I think it's.
the point is for her to be on TV, but
Right. Well, make friends and party too.
Yeah.
Well, let me say something about the new cast members before we go through these points. For me, I don't know why, but it was the most jarring introduction to two new cast members that I've ever seen. And then I felt like a hypocrite because I was like, Jesse and Wes just popped in with no well, they had an introduction, but they just like seamlessly fit in, and now they feel like established cast members. And then when Paige and Hannah did this, they popped in out of nowhere, and they just felt like established cast members. So I was kind of wondering what the difference was here. I just felt it was very jarring with this established cast that we all love to just throw in two new people and not really give them the full like confessional. I think Bailey did not really get introduced in any way.
I had no idea she was going to be there. She wasn't in any of the press or like, I assume she's not on the key art. Like, who is that?
I don't know either. It's like, I feel so bad.
Lexi?
I don't know. Lexi, of course. I was going to say Lexi. I didn't want to get it wrong. Lexi gets a little bit of a history. Like, this is who I am. And Amanda says, I knew Lexi because I met her at an event, which I think is fake. It's like the like least not an introduction in any way, just saying basically they could have met at like a Bravo event or something, like because she was cast.
I saw that Lexi dated Brooklyn Beckham.
Who I'm so sorry, who is that?
The Beckham's son.
Oh, David Beckham and let me look, sorry.
Victoria.
Oh, Victoria Beckham. So she dated him. How old is that boy?
He's in his 20s. He's married now, though. He's married to like a billionaire's daughter, Nicola Peltz.
Oh my God! Could you imagine dating a billionaire?
No, it sounds bad.
Why?
I think her dad is evil.
Whose?
Nicola Peltz.
Oh, what's wrong with him?
Billionaires are bad.
Oh, right. Of course. Yeah, you're right. I wouldn't want to date a billionaire. You're right. Okay, so I thought that it was a little bit of a jarring introduction of the two new cast members, not handled maybe fully how I would expect for such an established cast, even though they've done it in the past. I just felt like there was a very stark divide between the cast that we know and love and those two in my, just overall, in my opinion, the entire time. It felt like... I don't know, and also they felt, I don't know if I should say this, but they just felt remarkably younger than the rest of the cast, even though that's not true.
That's what Sierra said. She's like, I'm only 2 years older, but it felt like insane. And then Lindsay was like, I'm the oldest person in the house, and I feel like we're all the same age. And I was like, you would.
Right. Yeah, I didn't. I mean, that's also interesting. Like, just to feel like they're a completely different generation in a way. And I think that Bailey doesn't make it further, which I'm not 100% sure how they're going to handle that. Like in the past, have cast members who have been on Summer House, they just have kind of faded to the background, even though they've still been at the house. Like. Right. I'm not prepared for that to happen where someone is just like in the house and not there. And then I think on Watch What Happens Live, they showed all the heads of the Summer House cast members, and Bailey wasn't included as one of them.
Did she get canceled or something? Like, it seems beyond being boring that they're trying so hard to exclude her.
Yeah, and she's not in one clip. So I don't know. That's a rough casting. They did such a good job last year, but I guess they got what they wanted because I assume, like you said, they brought in two single people so that there's some West and Jesse dynamics that are explored, and they instantly get what they want with Jesse and Lexi.
Yeah, I mean, straight out the gates. I'm looking for on Peacock, the thumbnail had only like 4 cast members on it or something. I can't find it. Paige was in the middle.
West was there, Lindsay.
Yeah, but like it was missing, a lot of people.
Yeah. I felt bad I'm just going to say overall, I felt pretty bad for Carl. I can't remember the hatred that anyone has towards Carl. You and I were never even got a blip of that during our entire watch. We tried to be as nuanced as possible, but seeing this episode, Carl not being able to come the first day, I didn't really understand that decision at all. Like, did he really want to be respectful and give Lindsay a full day to,
right?
Like, yeah. Well, I didn't understand that at all. But yeah, I felt bad.
I thought what he said was like perfectly like in line, you know, like he was just like, I'm happy for her, but you know, I'm still working through everything that we went through, and like, you know, it all happened really fast. Like, I didn't think anything he said was like that bad. Like, I thought he was pretty respectful, but then I read all the shit online and they were like, it's disgusting for him to have an opinion about what she does with her body after he dumped her. And I'm like, what the fuck?
All right. There is absolutely nothing more reasonable than Carl being a little shocked that Lindsay is pregnant.
I'm just like, look yourself in the mirror, and if your ex within like 3 months of your wedding date was pregnant, say, like, of course she's allowed to do that. Of course she can do whatever she wants. But you as a human being wouldn't be like, what the hell? That's crazy.
Obviously, it would be all that anyone talked about if that happened to them. They'd be talking about it for years. They would tell everyone that story. They would think about it. And we have to just honor people having real reactions on the show without getting so...
If Carl knocked someone up by March 2024, can you imagine what she would say?
I have no clue. I mean, she's already trying to, she's going to try to paint him with a bunch of new shit by accuse him of cheating in the clips. And it sounds like she's going to be, anyway, I just have to say I had a hard time even thinking that Carl was in the wrong here, and I actually felt bad. I think that Carl should have been in that living room when Lindsay made the announcement. Like, why did they give her the grace to say, you get to announce this huge thing to the entire cast, take 30 minutes, they're all bored as hell, you get carte blanche to do your full pregnancy announcement, but Carl has to stay home, not make friends with the cast. And I felt Carl's absence this whole time. I was like, who is missing here? So I just don't understand. Like, if that was a producer decision, it was a bad decision. What would be more shocking than Carl having to sit down and it be revealed to him that Lindsay was pregnant? If it was his decision, that's fine. But you know, I mean, I can't say anything if it was his decision, but I just hope that it wasn't to like accommodate Lindsay's pregnancy reveal without him.
He didn't know that was going to happen. He found out on Instagram or whatever. So maybe the one day thing was, I don't know. It is weird. It's weird. I don't know. But
yeah. All right. Well, let's get into it a little more. Those are my overall thoughts. Mainly that I felt bad for Carl. I couldn't get into the mind state of hating Carl. I don't even remember what people are mad at him for. Calling off a horrible, awful engagement where the wedding would have been pure shit, and both people are much happier now than that.
Yeah. I said it before when I listened to him on Nick Vile's podcast, but I'm going to say it again in his defense, that he missed the wedding refund window by 7 days. So I believe him when he says that he didn't think they were going to break up that day, but the conversation went so poorly that he was like, actually, you're right. I'm fucking done. Yeah.
It was awful. Their relationship was horrible. She accused him of doing coke on their first night there. It was horrible. They were fighting all the time. Carl was miserable. Lindsay was sort of miserable. She just didn't want to reckon with it. Obviously, she would appreciate this so much more now that she has a wonderful, beautiful child. It was the right decision, and no one should be holding animus towards Carl anymore. I felt so bad for him when he had to do a Robert Durst dry heave in the bathroom before he went out to them.
He was like, "You got this. You can do this."
I feel bad for him. I legitimately feel bad for him. But let's get into it.
Everyone online thinks he's a punk ass bitch.
What did he do? All he said was, he goes, "I'm happy for Lindsay. It's what she's always wanted, but I'm a little shocked." It's like everyone's shocked. Here's what I'll say: like everyone is on. What's the phrase? Everyone is on tiptoes. Everyone is looking at each other, counting their fingers. Everyone is going, "Whoa, okay, let's do the math. I love this, Lindsay. I love this so much." But Jesse Solomon, who you already said, people are like, "Oh my God, despicable." To question. It's like, don't you want to see what the real reaction to people would be in this scenario? Like, I was even like, wow, Paige is like kind of biting her tongue here. I know she has 1,000 thoughts about this, but she's like deferring to Lindsay. But anyway, let's get into it. 2 months after the reunion, Andy, it's a little bit of a huge tease for the season. He goes, "This season was so shocking with Lindsay and Carl screaming at each other the whole time. Do you think you all can send it under the same roof once again?" And they all had like those eyes where like Jesse was looking back and forth, and it was kind of kind of scary. Like, will they be able to?
Yeah. Then they played Thunder and Lightning, and it was like 2 months later, and then it was like everyone getting picked up to go. There's no traffic. It's awesome. We got Sierra and Paige, Kyle and Amanda, Jesse and West. Sierra's fresh off of the Traders, which, by the way, when she was on Watch What Happens with Lindsay after, Andy asked how their friendship is doing because they've like feuded in the past, and they were like, Lindsay was like, well, there was that Traders thing, and Sierra goes, I didn't have anything to do with that. And Andy was like, what Traders thing? And I was like, Andy, you don't know about this?
I know. Well, I thought that just, I mean, that was kind of like for us. Like, I don't think Andy can keep every news story in the Bravo universe in his head. So I thought that was kind of funny when he was just like, I have no idea what you both are talking about. And they didn't let him know what it was.
But I was like, of course, I love that it was top of mind for Lindsay, and Sarah was like, what the fuck does that have to do with me? Like, I got a role on the show. Like, I didn't have anything to do with like replacing you. They just hired me. You know?
Yeah. She was like using it as an example of why her and Sierra wouldn't be like friends anymore. It's like, well, there was that whole Traders thing that Sierra had nothing to do with at all.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, noted that you do hold that against her. Good to know.
Of course. I really wondered why there was no traffic for about 5 minutes. I kept pausing it and I go, how the hell are they going to get to the Hamptons in 2 hours and 8 minutes? It's the Hamptons, right? Mm-hmm. 2 hours and 8 minutes. I go, oh my God, we finally get to know what no traffic driving would be. It was 4th of July.
Yeah, you would think there would be people going there that day, but maybe it didn't fall on like a weekend or something.
That's a great question. That's one of the details I want to know. But yeah, they talk about that. Oh, and then Paige says something about, well, she said, Paige goes first. She goes, we went to Italy. We were having the time of our lives. Craig came, and me and my brother made fun of Craig the whole trip.
Yeah, she was like, every time he'd say something, we'd be like, shut the fuck up, Craig.
Do you think Craig was making a lot of mistakes in Italy?
Yeah, he was probably being like, pandas aren't real.
And then the brother would be like, shut up.
Yeah, they'd be like, get out of here. My sister doesn't want to marry you.
Yeah, and then Sierra, they had to talk a little bit about West because Sierra met Jesse Solomon for a little hang time. Jesse didn't mention anything about West, and then Sierra says, "I bet West's head is as big as a big floating balloon because he's been on every fucking shitty podcast in the world. Turtle Time, Nick Vial, I forget what else he did, but his head is so inflated, and I'm here to stand by the fact that West is a fucking loser," she says.
I know, Sarah, she's pretty hard on him.
Sarah, that's not true. West is nice. We drank a beer with him. He spent an hour with us. He was so sweet to us. Our podcast is not shitty. I mean, well, I guess objectively it is. Objectively it is, but not to us. Yeah. But no, she wasn't talking. She was talking about other podcasts, not Turtle Time. But Sarah, you can tell she instantly gets us a peek into her mind, which is that her and West are not doing good. Still, she's upset about the press run that he did, using her as sort of a as part of the entertainment and rollout of him at being one of the Summer House's new stars, I guess.
Yeah. I noticed sentiment online. I'm just like, I like to counteract because I have one point of view and then I read shit and I'm like, really?
Where was this online, can I ask? Where does everybody get horrible Twitter, bad takes from? Oh, okay.
Which I know I shouldn't even be on there, but like I need to see the world ending in real time, I guess. Mm-hmm. And so I just typed in like Summer House, and it would be like Jesse, because he reacted the way he did to Lindsay's pregnancy announcement. Now he's they said he was a creep to Lexi. He's acting like an OG when he's new. They're like, West and Jesse turned out to be losers.
Oh my God. Nothing could be further from the truth. Those are two wonderful additions to Summer House. I can't believe we have to suffer through such horrible takes. What would people do without good takes?
I know. I'm like, again, what do you want? It's like, no offense, but like, it was like when they were like, there should be a spin-off about something about her. And I'm like, that's not fun. Like, that's not good to watch. I'm happy for them. I love them. They're thriving in their healthy lifestyle today, but like, I do not wish to watch that. I'm watching Tom Sandoval on The Traders, and I'm like, he's a gremlin, but like, it's very funny to watch a person like that.
I mean, I wasn't even going to say it because I don't want to get controversial on Valentine's Day. But the only thing I see about Traders is basically every single Tom Sandoval meme that he's doing, and people having to do the caveat of like, I hate this piece of cheating shit, but he sure is one hell of a Traders person or whatever. Like, it's so funny to see people appreciate Tom Sandoval for why everyone appreciated him for 10 years, but not wanting to fully own it.
I saw a TikTok of a girl that is watching Traders with her boyfriend, and he has no idea who Tom Sandoval is, but she does. Like, she knows everything that he did and why he's like hated by the universe. And her boyfriend or husband like only knows him from Traders, and she's like, Tommy's my favorite, Tommy's gonna win. Like, he's so funny, I love Tommy.
I have a friend who only watches the competition shit, who I love, and he goes, I like that Tom Sandoval guy. He doesn't know anything about Bravo. Also, can I say a spoiler? I don't know if you've heard it yet. You did. Okay, I haven't heard it yet, but I know what happened, so I'm going to say it. Traders spoilers, but I'm only going to say this. You correct me if I'm wrong, but if Tom Sandoval was the one leading the charge that got Boston Rob out, that is a fucking huge takedown and win for Tom Sandoval. That's what I heard. Is that what happened?
That's true. That was from last week, and then the new one last night. They did this really goofy challenge where they had all these dolls that played nursery rhymes backwards, and they had to sing into a phone the sound that they heard backwards and send it to the castle, where they would play it on a record that would play it forwards and then guess what the song is. And Tom Sandoval took it upon himself to be the one that sings the backwards sound, and he took it so seriously, and he'd be like, and everyone was like, what the fuck?
Did they get it?
They won all of it.
Because his backward singing was so good?
Yes.
Oh my God. People are, he did a horrible thing. Tom Sandoval, you did one of the worst things ever in the world. But, what was I going to say? People might, I think someday there might be forgiveness for it.
I just need my trashy characters,
Yes, totally. Well, good. Well, that was good. I'm glad that was true. And I know that people are appreciating him because I see him referenced every single meme from Traders that people who are watching it, they all
regret uttering his name in the same episode where I talk about Lindsay Hubbard. That's going to be rough for us, but it's okay.
I think we just have to be true and honest to ourselves, which is the turtle time way. Jesse and West arrive, and they make a huge decision. I can't emphasize how big of a decision this was. If I was in the house, they did it in like 1 minute, but they walk in, they're the first people in the house. So I don't know if they do staggered call times on this or whatever, but Jesse and West arrive first, and they have the decision to either be in 2 beds separated with 1 bathroom, or get 2 downstairs bedrooms, and then they would kind of share a hallway bathroom with other people.
Yeah.
Jesse's inclination is being like, I like the downstairs energy. I want to be the party guy. You wake up, you yawn, and then you start chugging beers or whatever. We need to be the life of the party. But Wes says, I think it'd be very fun for us to be the bunk bed boys or the 2 bed boys and share a bathroom together. And then finally Wes convinces Jesse that is the right way to go.
Yeah, he's like, it's maximum giggles if we share a room. And when Jesse's like, I think I would rather have my own room and not bathroom. And he goes, well, that hurts my feelings, but that's okay.
Yeah. I was thinking, not that it matters, but I think I don't know. I think that was the right decision for the entertainment value of the show and for them to have fun, each weekend of the summer.
Them gabbing after dark was very funny.
I
loved that. We meet Lexi and Bailey, which I had just sent Jimmy a tweet before watching this that was like, I'll say it, Bailey is a dog's name. And I sent it to him because I had a dog named Bailey. And then I sent it to my friends, and one of them was like, I had a dog named Bailey.
No way. I will speak for people who have dog names. I've heard that every day of my life. That's a dog's name. My dog was named Riley. Yeah. So I fully respect Bailey, and I'm so sorry that you have to hear that. But
yeah, hers is spelled with like 2 E's though. Which is different. But yeah, when she came through the door, I was like, who the hell is this? I had never heard about her. Had you?
Lexi and Bailey?
I had heard about Lexi, but not Bailey.
No, I hadn't heard about any of them. I didn't really know that they would be doing... Well, I guess they had to have new cast members, right? Because no one else is single. But anyway, no, I did not know. I did not know about Lexi. I did not know about Bailey. They come in, and there's immediately... Jesse is like, kind of... I'll just say it. Being flirtatious.
you're so pretty. And she goes, you're so tall. And he's like, yeah.
And they ask how old each other is, and they're all they're all roughly the same age. It's not that big of a discrepancy here. No. It's like Jesse's 31, West is 29, and they're like 27 and 26.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, it does feel very different. She says, I forget what she says. So she tries to say knock on wood, and she goes, I can knock on myself because my last name is Wood. And Jesse's like, your middle name should be Gives Me.
Yeah, now I'll say, I mean, that's pretty wild to say within 5 minutes of meeting someone. Lexi gives me Wood. Yeah. And then Lexi says, she laughs and she goes, I've never heard that before. That's so funny. Thank you for saying that about a fake middle name that's kind of crude and sexual. And then she says in her confessional, she gets that all the time. I was like, oh my God, that's horrible. Guys go up to you all the time and say, is your middle name Gives Me?
I wouldn't have thought that people had said that before. It's just kind of weird.
Lexi gives me Wood? Like, people say that? How awful. And she gave him a lot of benefit of the doubt. She goes, that was funny. Thank you so much. And she said, I like dad jokes. And I was like, that's a dad joke?
Yeah, sucks. She goes, I love teeth. And he has a lot of them. And they cut to him in his like goofy ass smile.
Yeah, he's got all 30 of them.
Yeah.
Is there 30 teeth?
I can't answer that question.
And then this is when Amanda explains. She goes, hey, yeah, Lexi, I met her at an event. And then it doesn't explain who Bailey is.
No, she's like, we have mutuals. I was like, okay. And
then I do really wish that they would have, I wish instead of someone that no one really knew, I wish that Jesse and West maybe would have like gotten to cast people, or they would have gotten into the well a little bit more of people that they actually knew. For me, like I already said, they're just too established at this point to have just two random people come in that feel so out of their depth and not friends with anyone. Because this is a cast that we want to see all of the dynamics that are playing out from the last season. So to have two newbies, I feel like everyone's kind of awkward in the house. I felt a lot of awkward energy by like having to just be like, who are these two new people here?
I know. And like them being at the pregnancy announcement, they like met her 5 seconds ago. You're like, oh.
Like I wouldn't give a shit if I found out that someone was pregnant that I just met 2 minutes ago. I'd be like, I didn't even think for a second that you were not pregnant or pregnant.
Then Paige and Sierra enter. West is very nervous. He's like, I want to go last on this like greeting train. And Amanda's like, oh my God, you're like bright red. And then he goes in for like sort of like a shoulder hug. And she just, I don't know what you call that. She like hits his chest like, what's up, dude?
Yeah, kind of like a little bit of a swat of his arm away, letting him know we're not just going to like hug this out and forgive and forget. It wasn't good. If you're West, that's not going to feel good.
Yeah. She says again that she was pissed off about that New York Times article he did because in it he said their relationship ran its course and that it turned out they weren't each other's people. And she's like, you didn't say that to me. Like, I didn't know that, but then I read it in the New York Times. So she also, they asked her if she thought that there was a chance they would get back together after the reunion. And she said, I'm not answering that. And, similar on Watch What Happens Live, she kept being like, I'm not making any statements that will make me look like a fool again. So she just doesn't even want to talk about it.
I was kind of surprised when Wes said that like after the reunion, him and Sierra met up and like hung out and talked again. I was like, damn, I thought Sierra was so pissed at you. And she made fun of him for not speaking at all at the reunion.
I know. That's why it's like weird that she wanted, I mean, I guess all that press happened after that day. So immediately after the reunion, she was probably like, that was probably rough for you. Like, I'll throw you a bone and hang out with you. And then over the course of the next few months, he was doing all that stuff.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Then we get Lindsay and Gabby came. I don't know why I didn't think about the fact that Gabby was going to return. I'll just say it. Like, it really feels like they gave her... They cast her again as a concession to Lindsay to have a protector and sidekick.
Yeah. I mean,
She like, I wrote down, why is she acting like her agent? And then I saw on Twitter someone say it's giving executive assistant energy.
I mean, it really is. I mean, you can't not say it. At a certain point, like, they're asking Gabby questions about Lindsay as if she's her press
representative.
agent.
Like, is she a bikini girl or a One Piece girl? And she's like, oh, I told her she needs to flaunt it. I'm like, why are you like, are you getting paid by the hour?
Yeah, yes. I mean, the most charitable thing you could say is just like that Lindsay absolutely has to have a ride or die best friend on this franchise. And at first it was Danielle. And then when Danielle started to break out and get really upset about how Lindsay was treating her, that she immediately just cast a new best friend. Like, Gabby's like doing everything for Lindsay. She sets up the entire announcement. She's only in her room the entire time, telling everyone when Lindsay will be arriving. Like, we've got 2 minutes till Lindsay descends down the stairs. I was very surprised. I mean, for me, I don't know. I guess I don't want to get too mean, but I just really don't understand why you would fire Danielle, who now she's starting to have her relationship with Lindsay reinvigorated. Like, she could still have that spot, but she has such a more complicated relationship with all of the cast. It's not so jarring. Gabby is just ride or die loyal to Lindsay. Like, does not make one move towards even being friends with the other cast members, at least in this premiere.
Yeah, and even like the one thing, I'm getting ahead, but they go out that night. Gabby goes out with like the guys and stuff, and she doesn't come home. And I was like, okay, like getting late at the bar and not coming home. But it turns out she like has a suitor who lives nearby, and she's like, and if I don't want to be in the house, I'll go stay with him. And I'm like, no.
Yeah, I really don't understand. I mean, Gabby heads, you let us know. I mean, if let us know what's going on here. But for me, I just do not understand someone that is just like absolutely dedicated to another cast member and is just there as like their support system for the entire time. And I remember feeling that way about last season too. So this was even more egregious, I felt, in this episode.
Yeah. Lindsay's wearing, like, she basically arrives in essentially a maternity outfit. I was like, okay, well, step one, not hiding it well, but okay.
Let's talk about this here when she arrives. I got the sense that almost everyone thinks that she is pregnant.
Right. Yeah. They had all heard it and probably suspected it. So the fact that she wore that, I was like, because then when she wears other stuff, it was way less conspicuous. So I was like, why did you want the first thing for them to see you wearing was this like massive button up, but whatever. Yeah,
really quick, what was the timeline? I was trying to remember. When did we start to get whiffs that Lindsay was pregnant? Like, when did that like rumor start to come out? Was it when she was like wearing that like that dress at that wedding?
Peplum. Well, she said, I was watching her talk somewhere, and she said that it leaked like literally immediately.
Oh,
like
okay.
There were rumors like immediately. Like, she was like, literally the only person that knows is my doctor, so I don't know how that happened. So
okay.
But I mean, this is like I mean, she's pretty pregnant in this, so it had been going on for a while at that point. But yeah, she drinks rosé in the kitchen to throw them off her scent. They show us later that at the reunion, even though it wasn't drinking on the show of the reunion, it was in her dressing room. So I was like, who cares if you're not drinking in your dressing room? Why is that? So I think she just wanted that clip of her pouring out Cristal and pouring the other thing in so that she could do a throwback moment. Like, I think she literally thinks about everything in like a production timeline.
Me too.
And my most conspiracy brain theory is that she literally wanted her pregnancy timeline to align with the season so that she could arrive pregnant.
Yeah, I mean, good theory. Good theory. I was thinking, in connection with that, I also thought when she was giving her speech, which we'll talk about more in depth, but I also thought that she was laying the groundwork for producers to just throw in all of her flashbacks, so we got like a full Lindsay retrospective on somewhere else. When she was drinking the rosé, though, did you notice this? They don't show it fully, but she put it in her mouth, but then she just started spitting it down her shirt. Did you see that? They show her, she takes a huge big gulp and then she just completely spits it under her shirt and no one noticed except on the camera. She goes,
says, last time I was in this kitchen, I was getting gaslit as fuck, and it was the clip of her and Carl fighting in their Shellback Tavern hats.
Officially, the last time I think anyone will ever use gaslight. I think Lindsay did the last time we'll ever see that, because when they show the clip, it's Carl saying, we don't communicate. You're mad at me. I love you, but I can't get my point across. Please. You say fight, and then that completely ends the conversation. I was like, what about this as being gaslit?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we can get back into all of the shit about that Carl was bad at communicating also, or he was too afraid to. It was just a bad match, straight up.
Yeah, but that scene specifically was not gaslighting. Right. He was just in the kitchen talking about their horrible relationship issues that were really bad.
Totally. Okay. Yeah, she says she doesn't want the same room as last year. Also, Kyle announces that Carl's coming a day late. Everyone just kind of like stands in silence. He's like, he wanted to give you like some time or whatever. And everyone's like, and Lindsay goes, okay, perfect. Like she's like eye roll about it. It's like, okay. And then we get the ongoing joke of the episode is that Jesse is in love with Lexi. He introduces pretty early that he says she's cute but ditzy, which comes up later. He's in bed with Sierra and Paige, who totally love him, obviously. Like, he's one of the gals. He goes, I love her, I'm getting a ring. And this is where, again, Sierra says that West is an annoying loser. And they're like, you go tell him that we said that.
Yes.
And then in the other room, it's Gabby and Lindsay preparing their PowerPoint presentation or whatever. Like, it literally felt like Gabby was her assistant, and they're like, we've been prepping for this presentation for months. I got it printed at Kinko's. You know what you were meant to say. You studied. It's going to be, she's like, I want it to be fun for you. You're going to get it done. Like, I was like, this is, like, they're just your friends. Like, I've talked to my friends who have babies. Your wife has baby.
My wife has baby. My wife has baby. Don't get me started. My wife has baby.
Your wife has baby. I have a pregnant friend who's like, when she told me she was pregnant, was like, oh, FYI, I'm pregnant. Like,
yeah.
Not that it shouldn't be celebrated, but it's like, okay.
No. Yeah, for sure. There's a scale of reveals, and I was thinking about it. There's one where you just put a big piece of cardboard and it says, I have baby on it, and you let people look at that. Or you just reveal, say, I'm not drinking today because I'm pregnant. But so she did basically the most elaborate 10 out of 10, take all the time in the world to say it. And I was trying to think of what would have been like easier and better. Like, she probably should have just done something fun.
Yeah.
Like grab a little canister and say, everybody grab a canister. It has a shot in it or whatever. And then when you pull it out, actually a little baby pops out and you say, I'm having a baby.
Yeah. Or like the hibachi spells out in shrimp, like, I'm pregnant.
Oh, that is so cute. Oh, that is so cute. A hibachi guy goes, watch where I'm throwing this shrimp. That is so cute. Look at it. It's an I, M, and then you wait for him, and then it lays out fully, I'm pregnant in shrimp. That is so much better than what Lindsay did. There's so many better and more summer house centric ways that she could have done this to make it fun, and instead she did the longest, most boring version that got the classic Bravo, you're talking too long edit, which you never want.
Yeah. It looked like, if the timestamps are to be believed, it was close to 30 minutes.
30 minutes. So let's get into it. Gabby goes, gather round. Jesse's toast was actually shit. It had too little of a shot drink in it. So we're going to do an official one in the living room. And everybody's like, why the fuck are we going to the living room? Jesse's like, we never go in the living room. I don't want to go there. And then Lindsay is nervous as hell because she's like, Gabby's not selling it. She's not selling this living room thing. She goes, I'm just going to go in the living room and wait for what Gabby has to say. As if this is not
giant oversized blazer for some reason when it's 100 degrees outside.
Yeah, as if, and then eventually, I guess Gabby convinces everyone that they need to all be seated for an announcement that Gabby is going to give. Right? It doesn't start out as anything that Lindsay has to say.
Well, it's also. Did you notice also Gabby refused to help with the chairs when everyone else was like lifting chairs? And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot she refuses to do any like physical labor around helping around the house. So I'm like, oh yeah, all your attention and energy goes to just helping Lindsay, not the household to run.
Yeah, well, in her defense, she's planning this huge announcement for Lindsay, but yeah,
she's
you're
always
right.
Like that.
Yeah. Wes, then they get on the couch and kind of a silly moment to watch Lindsay react to this. Wes goes, hey, So I was wondering if you were not going to be drinking, or if you were, because the rumors going around that you're pregnant. And then Lindsay, I don't think she says anything back. She says something like, "Yeah, those are rumors," but then she doesn't say anything else. And like Wes basically is just left there. Not really. I guess because she knows that she's about to say it in like 1 second, so she doesn't have to talk about it anymore.
If it comes off suspicious, because she's like, well, you're going to find out in half an hour.
Yeah.
And then she's like, I just want to say a couple words. We all go through a lot here in this house, but we go through it together. And then she goes, my personal journey here has been nothing short of pretty much all over the place. And I was like, is this like a wedding toast? Like, what is happening?
Yeah, and everyone has that energy. She goes, 8 years ago, and my favorite moment of the entire episode, I give such a big shout out to Kyle. He goes, 8 years ago. He goes, buckle up, everybody. We're in for a long story or whatever. It was so funny because it's just like 8 years ago.
She goes boyfriend by boyfriend, including that guy Paimon or whatever, who's like the demon from Hereditary.
Yes, of course. I had no idea she dated Paimon.
Like, why do we have to talk about him?
She goes, and then it was she went all over the place too, because they were giving her the edit, but then all of a sudden she goes like 6 years ago, 5 years ago, and she goes, and then I don't know what he said to Stassi, but he's made fun of her turtleneck, and it's like that's the first thing that happened on Summer House. It's like, where are you going with this? Yeah, and you're so right about Paimon the demon. I don't think in your big speech of your journey it had to include it. That's why I think that Lindsay was teeing up her iconic moments. She was giving the Everett, I'm gonna go fuck someone else or whatever she said. What's the guy's name? Stravi.
Sandwiches.
Stravi. You make me sandwiches. He wanted me to be a 1950s housewife. Can you believe he asked me to make him a sandwich?
Yeah, you don't want to see me when I'm activated. Like, she was like, I'll give them their choice of every clip I've ever done, because she's a producer. Like, she thinks about every single thing.
But a not self-aware producer where you don't want to look good in the final edit, or she always thinks she looks great in the edit. Yeah. I'm not talking, she thinks she comes off well all the time. And props to her, because I guess 90% of the Summer House fan base absolutely loves Lindsay. You and I are the only people in the world who think that she makes some, horrible decisions.
Yeah. Jesse says under his breath, where is this going? And everyone's kind of like, what the fuck? Like,
Kyle is really, he's not fully making fun of it, but he's just like, this is a journey that we all have to strap in for. Yeah.
You can tell everyone's kind of like looking around, like trying to make eye contact, like, what the fuck?
30 minutes, like you said. I looked at the timestamps. It was from like 7:24 to 7:55 or something.
Oh my God. Yeah, she goes, and then 2 years ago, I got engaged. And Kyle's like, holy shit, that was 2 years ago. And she goes, and about 1 year ago, he abruptly called off the wedding. And she's like, what I've learned is the universe has its own plans. Like, she's like, that all led me to where I am today. And like, the universe plan was, and then Gabby digs through her effects. She's like, here it is. And it's like the big ultrasound. Everyone freaks out. Amanda cries. She's like, I thought I was going to have Lindsay says, I thought I was going to have a hot girl summer, but I'm going to have a hot pregnant summer.
Yeah, that was great. I loved that. Amanda gave her the reaction that she truly wanted. I thought that was so sweet. Amanda cried for her, so happy for her. Kyle made a joke. He goes, the baby's not going to be that big, is it? Which I thought that was kind of funny, because the ultrasound was blown up. Yeah,
and then Wes looks over at Jesse, who's like dumbfounded, and he's like, smile, bitch.
Yeah, that was great. And then Jesse says, he's obviously not the audience surrogate for some of the audience, but for some, he says, that's weird. He goes, that's weird. He goes, mainly, she's pregnant. He goes, but mainly I'm kind of like concerned about Carl. I mean, last year they were in the house together in a relationship and they were planning their wedding and having kids. Like, how is Carl going to take this? Which is like a legitimate thing for someone to think about and say.
Yeah. I was like, I forgot about the Instagram component. So when Carl came home and that thing was on the mantle or whatever, I was like, oh my God, someone needs to come out and tell him. And I was like, oh, of course he saw it online already.
Yeah, he saw the clear blue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's like, yeah, she reveals she's 18 weeks, which Sierra's like, damn, you're out of your first trimester, which I was like, oh yeah, she's a nurse. She knows all about everything. And she's like, they're like, you were pregnant at the reunion. She's like, I was pregnant at the reunion. They show her pouring out her champagne. And West, she's like, I have to go upstairs and change. And West asks the other girls, he's like, do we know the last name? And they were like, oh my God, you can't ask that.
Yeah.
And
but
I kind of was also like, why not?
Right. I don't know what world we're in where like that, like where you can't just ask questions about it. Anything
who's
about
your
the time.
baby daddy? Like, is that crazy?
Who did you get pregnant with?
Yeah, like there's like an elephant in the room. They're all like, who the fuck is this person?
But Paige is mockingly saying, how dare you ask? And then Amanda even makes fun of him too, like going, why don't you go ask her right now who the father is? Because they obviously want to know.
Yeah.
They have questions.
Sierra asks in like 10 minutes from now.
Yes.
And then she goes upstairs. She calls Turner Koofy to say I did the deed. And then she's like, I got to post this sponsored post on Instagram. By the time they all are sitting down for dinner 5 minutes later, she's already posted. They're like, holy shit. Like, did she just do that? Like, I was like, probably was in her drafts ready to go. She just had to hit post.
Yeah. Do you remember the post? It had those sirens and it goes trigger warning. It goes fireworks are absolutely shooting off right now in spirit of 4th of July, but also as for me as a pregnant woman.
Yeah, I was in a pool swimming on 4th of July and got the news. I was blown away. And they're all like, in the post, it's like, we couldn't be happier. And they're all like, who is we? And then, so Paige asks when they're all at dinner, do you guys have any names? And she's like, we do. And Sierra's like, who's we? And she goes, Turner and I. And she says they met 3.5 years ago, went on a few dates. Then he called it off. But then in December, texted her and said, let's run it back. Which I was like, what kind of jargon is that?
Yeah, you mean run it back? Like,
Is that a thing people say?
Yeah, like run back the footage.
But do you say that about dating?
Well, who said run it back? Sierra?
No, Lindsay said Turner was like, let's run it back.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Oh, I thought she was running back the math. No, Turner said, let's run it back. Yeah, I'm not sure. I thought it implied like, hey, let's, let's make it happen again. But yeah, I don't know what that implies. Run it back. Yeah, like,
it's giving like business jargon,
or
like,
run the same play again. You and
it's
I
like put a pin in it, and then they give Sierra the beautiful mind edit where she's doing the math. She goes, breakup in September, November wedding didn't happen. He reached out in December. It's July. She's 4.5 months pregnant, and she's like, yeah, Lindsay's like, I called him back in January, and we never had a conversation about being exclusive, but the math, Kyle and West are doing the math. Also, West is counting on his fingers. And I mean, the math is clear. Like, she got pregnant basically a month after starting dating him.
Yeah. You know, some say fast, some say too slow. We just don't know.
Way too slow.
Way too slow. Sometimes it just works. She's also kind of, I don't know if this is the right phrase, but she's kind of brushing past some significant details as she talks to Sierra. She's like, yeah, you know, we just instantly started saying, I love you. And, you know, Sierra has so many questions, but the way Lindsay is rushing through it, like there's like anyone in the world, you have 100 questions, even if you're not, I think people want to avoid shaming someone. That's even you and I. We're like, we're not shaming her for getting pregnant. I have 100 questions. Even if someone had been in a relationship for 4 years and they got pregnant, I want to know when they had sex, when they conceived it, when it's coming out, what it's going to be, what the name is. I feel like Sierra got 3 questions, and then she could tell that Lindsay immediately started looking at the onion rings with fire in the middle of it to be like, let's shut it down and not ask anything. It's like, you're curious, and they're your friends. You know, Sierra's moderately her friend, but you know, everyone just wants to actually know, but they feel a little like they're treating her with kid gloves, I guess.
Yeah. When she was talking about Turner on Watch What Happens Live, it felt a little shady. Like, I have a feeling that the rumors were true that they broke up, but maybe they got back together. Like, maybe they're a little bit like on again, off again or whatever, because Andy's like, I hadn't heard this rumor, but apparently everyone was saying you guys broke up, but he's backstage. And she goes, yep, he's backstage. And then he's like, what are your guys' plans for the future? And she was like, I don't know. We're trying to figure it out. And he was like, do you think he'll ever be on the show? She was like, I don't think so. And then she was like, we got pregnant really fast. It's difficult for even the strongest relationship. So we're just trying to figure out what's next. Like, she was being very like, you could tell there was like, it was complicated.
Oh yeah, totally. I don't think Turner Cooper was backstage.
Cooper.
I think she did a full Ferris Bueller, and when Andy came and knocked on it, it was just a mannequin that says Turner Koofy over and over again.
Yeah, he was coughing. He was like,
I'm sick. My name is Turner. I'm sick. I also did not read the truth. Well, not read the truth, but I didn't understand the specifics of what she was saying. And then I think they also asked, they said, why did you unfollow Turner on Instagram? And she goes, did I ever follow him? I don't know. I don't know. I might have unfollowed him because he doesn't ever post. And I was like, I don't know. That doesn't make any sense to me.
For unfollow your baby daddy for not posting?
For someone who's so like Instagram minded, that seemed like it was a little subtle hint at maybe possibly what the truth is. But I think you're probably right. I think it might have been like on again, off again, or whatever. And Turner, could have been back there.
She just has a certain look about her when I think she's lying, like that I think I can see now. So I was like, oh, that's always how you used to talk about Carl. That sort of like weird face where she just looks like icked out,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, so then we didn't say they're doing Benihana, or not Benihana, but like hibachi dinner, which is fun.
Oh, we should have said. Yeah.
So they're all sitting around there. For some reason, Jesse asks Lexi if she would describe herself as ditzy. He's like, did you take the ACT? I was like, what are these questions, you fucking freak?
Yeah, he got a little mean, Is
that what they call negging?
Yeah, it's exactly that. And then he says, he puts the best way about, or like the most positive spin. I don't even know if it's positive, but he goes, I like seeing the limits of people. I test you and go cross over the line and then retreat. And I was like, oh, all right, well, I mean, I guess it works. He flirts with people and makes love to people, but it's kind of weird being witness to all that kind of stuff. I haven't seen flirting like that in a long time, I think. Right. On Bravo, so he's really going in. And then she gets a little offended by the ditzy comment, but not enough to turn her off from Jesse.
Yeah. Sierra takes the hibachi leftovers to her bedroom, Ariana style. The skewers are by the bedside. I was like, oh, do they have a mini fridge up there? No, she put them on the nightstand.
I forgot about that. Oh my God. That was so horrible when that happened on Vanderpump Rules.
Yeah. There's no dogs in the house, at least. But then we get a Kyle. He's trying to repaint his legacy. He's saying he's got to stop using the summer house as his big release. They show a clip of 3 years ago, Amanda throwing everything in the bathroom all over the place because he didn't come home. And he wants to be a more respectful husband moving forward, which means that he will be home by 2 a.m. instead of 2:23 like everyone else.
Yeah, it was perfect, though. He was 2:01 on the dot, just 1 minute after.
He was very proud, which I was like, it's very funny that that's the good version. But I was like, I guess in New York, they go till 4. So that would be like me coming home at midnight instead of 2.
Right. Yeah, totally. What else? I mean, I was a little surprised at like who went out and who didn't, but I guess that's a staple. But I was surprised that the new cast members didn't like want to go out and party with them. I think Bailey was tired or something, she said.
Yeah, I was too. I would have assumed that they had gone out. And then we also get a little Paige moment because she says, I realized that I really am not ready to be pregnant because when Lindsay announced it, I was like, oh my God, thank God I'm not. Like, that would be horrible. Like, I hate that. I don't want that. And she said that she used to have rose-colored glasses about the future. And they show a clip from 6 years ago, which I'm like, damn, we've been here a long time. That she's like, I would love to be married with kids by 30. And she's like, but I also used to use tanning beds. So, you live and you learn. And she says, Craig is ready to do all that. And I am not. So it's starting to come into play on, they're already talking about that episode 1, that's a problem. And then I loved that we got West and Jesse in the dark, like gabbing about, they're like, dude, isn't it crazy that like pregnant Lindsay's just like gonna be in the house and like with Carl at the same time, and Jesse's like, it's a crime, and West is like, it's crazy, no. I was like, I'm sorry, they're fucking funny. Like, I'm literally just like delighted. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I think they're fucking funny.
Yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, everybody loved them.
I'm so defensive in every turn. I'm like, can I enjoy myself?
Yeah, I mean, everybody loved it. I mean, we have to, we've talked about this a lot. We have to tone down the hatred. I know we talk about it all the time, but it's like some Bravo fans watch these shows to get out their pure hatred, like Emperor Palpatine, where it fuels them with rage, and they want to release that rage on the internet. But just talking with your friend in bed at dark, saying it's going to be crazy when Carl shows up and his ex-fiance is pregnant with another person's baby is very much a real thing that people would talk about. So, so I agree. I thought it was fun, and Jesse and West have still such a fun dynamic, and they're perfect additions to Summer House, obviously.
Yeah. And then, we get the update, like I already said, that Gabby does a walk of shame, but we find out it might be an ongoing thing through the summer, which I'm like, okay, thanks for your participation in the show. You're just gonna like fuck off the whole summer.
Yeah, I don't really understand it. It doesn't make sense to me, staying with a European boyfriend out of the house every night and then just coming to help Lindsay out with what she needs. I mean, you're not even trying to become friends with the other cast members. I mean, it's like
she took a whole room for that too.
Yeah, so I don't understand. She says American men are trash, which I was completely offended by. I was offended.
Okay, and then it's like a pool day. The boys are joking that like Jesse's like, look at Lexi, she's so pretty, and Wes is like, you're sicko, you can only see her ass right now, and it cuts, and she's like facing the other way, and it's just her in her like tiny bikini bottoms. And they're all making fun of him. Kyle's like, are you gonna drop the L-bomb by the end of the weekend? And he's like, she seems like an amazing person, I love her. Like, it's kind of like a bit, it's like, I thought it was funny.
Yes, but they're both shocked too, because there's a little bit of truth in there that probably Jesse would maybe let a little like I love you out. I mean, he's just going very fast, like
in the clip for next week or upcoming, the boys go out and they cheers, and he's like, to my last day as a single man. Like, he just like makes it the whole, everything he says is like that.
Yeah, it's amazing. They ask, they're all by the pool. And this is when everyone asks what Lindsay will be wearing to be with them, right? What kind of bathing suit that she'll be wearing, and Gabby lets them know what she's thinking about, right?
Yeah, she's like, we talked about it, and I advised her that a 2-piece would be more fun to show off her new belly. So she'll be coming out shortly. Don't worry. So she comes out, and Kyle sees her. Like, Wes is like, oh damn, she is pregnant, huh? And Kyle's like, she wasn't hiding that for long, because you're like, yeah, she's like very pregnant, like she's been hiding it for so long.
Yeah, totally. And this is when
arrives.
Carl comes. He gave them all a day without him. I don't know why. I guess he said, I'm gonna give Lindsay a day to
yeah, I can imagine the producers like wanting to treat this sensitively, because they've like never had a pregnancy in the house, and I feel like it makes it that they want it to be less like fiery or something,
Okay, so like
they want it to be like safer. Not that Carl's unsafe, but like normally you'd be like, let's like throw the exes in a room and like watch what happens. And maybe they're trying to be more like, well, like this is kind of an odd situation. Like, I mean, she can handle it. Like they could have been in this. They're going to be in the same room anyways, but.
Right. I just didn't. Yeah. I don't know. I'm sure there's a real reason for it, but Carl kind of, I feel like when Lindsay and Carl also last season or 2 seasons ago, they had to also miss the first weekend. And like by then all of the dynamics were like already established, and they kind of came in, having to make up for lost time. I think that was last season.
They were at the White House.
Yeah, but I guess that's not going to be an issue, because most of the people are friends with Carl besides Lexi and Bailey. But he comes, and then Carl is, I know this, like he was just so nervous. I was wondering why he kept taking so many boxes. He was like going in and out and grabbing a bunch of boxes, and then he doesn't go in. And then you hear this British producer talk to him off off camera, and he goes, what does he say? He goes, I'm just so nervous about seeing her.
Yeah, he goes, I don't really know how to operate here. And they're like, it's totally normal to feel that way. They're trying to hype him up. They're like, it's going to be fine. It's a weird situation. And in his confessional, he's like, do you know how many texts I've gotten in the last 24 hours? Which I'm like, yeah, can you imagine if, like, how many people texted him seeing that Instagram and being like, what the fuck? That's just the timeline.
What would they have texted him?
Like, holy shit, bro.
Yeah, so he's upset. The British producer and another producer are saying, like, just go in there. I'm, basically, like, just trying to hype him up.
Yeah, he says, like, that she's been hiding her pregnancy for 6 months because she knows how crazy it will sound that she's that far along. And he's like, part of me is happy for her because that's what she's always wanted, but I'm still trying to take time to heal and process and get rid of resentment, which I'm like, yeah, like, normally, like, you break off an engagement, it's gonna take you a minute to, like, reset your vision for the future and, like, kind of, like, figure out what's next. And she's just, like, already, like, ripped into, like, 3 chapters ahead,
I thought so too, and I believe Carl that he's still in a way reeling from what happened to him. That was a traumatic event for him as well.
I don't know, like, people are like, he's the one that did it, like, why shouldn't she move on? Like, he's in the rear view. And I'm like, okay, like, think about, like, reality, like,
right.
Think about it for 1 fucking second.
Yeah.
Just because he broke it off doesn't mean that it didn't hurt him to do it. Like, that's actually harder in some cases, I would say.
And he still, in his mind, thought that it was going to work out at certain points up until the minute, which I don't think Lindsay believes this, but he did conceive of Lindsay being the love of his life and his wife for a really long time until he couldn't make it work anymore. So I believe
like, I can't, like, deal with the perspective that, like, people are like, I'm like, obviously, I'm not saying she can't do what she wants. Like, of course she can. I'm saying that, like, if you think about you specifically, the person listening to this, if your ex had moved on that many steps ahead, not just with a person, but pregnant, many months pregnant, second trimester pregnant by the time you saw them again, that is shocking. Just be so fucking for real.
I already said I would talk about it every day of my life to anyone who will listen. I'd be like, yeah, she really didn't give a shit about me. I mean, really? I mean, the relationship ended, and then immediately I don't know how many months it was, but regardless, even no matter what you think, just, like, let Carl say his feelings. Like, even if you hate it, like, he can still be a good person and say things from his heart. We want them to tell their real feelings and how they're feeling. Like, in my opinion, unless
you wish,
you don't,
like, that everyone wasn't afraid to say how they felt, but they need to be nice, because I understand you have to be supportive in that moment. But I was like, I want to know what the texts were.
Absolutely stunned and shocked, talking about it nonstop. Sierra's texting Paige at Hibachi going, what the hell is going on? Can you believe that she did the announcement in the 5 minutes where she was putting different jeans on, that she had the clear blue? Like, Paige at one point goes, I love her. You just gotta love her. And it's like, Paige, you think that's weird. Like, you think that she had a clear blue promotion teed up the minute she revealed it to you after in real time, like,
it's just like, it's all very, I know calculated is a negative term. I mean, I don't not mean it negatively, but, like, she accounts for every little thing. She's thinking ahead. She's, like, doing, like, it's not, like, normal. Like, it's not like a way a normal person acts.
Yeah. Remember when they found out that she did hashtag the Hubb Cub House or whatever, when she went out with Paige and everyone to dinner, and she goes hashtag team anti-Carl, and everybody goes, that was fucked up.
Like,
we all just went out.
That.
We all just went out, and you made it seem like we were in full solidarity and that we hated Carl, and no one felt like that. So she does strategic PR moves, and what's funny to me is that they always land kind of awfully, like, in my mind. Like, they're always like that. Her pregnancy announcement was a flop. It was like, a 30-minute
house, you mean?
Yeah. Yes, it was a flop. You got rolling eyes in the house. You got the sped up time edit. It was so boring. Like, you could have done anything in the world, and you chose to do something that was, like, treated like a joke in the moment.
Totally.
There's no Lindsay fans that say that was the best way to do a pregnancy announcement, right?
No, they're like, iconic, commandeered the room, like standing her ground, standing on business, queen, PR queen.
Yeah, and then Carl, he pops in. He pops in and he sees Jesse and Lexi. Jesse and Lexi in the room or in the kitchen, and Jesse goes, "Let me introduce you to the love of my life, Lexi." I thought that was so funny, just to like,
yeah.
You know,
Carl's like, "I'm actually about to shit my pants. Can I like please leave?"
I've never seen that before, but he did a certified turtle piss break. He goes, "I've been on the road for a long time. Let me piss my brains out first."
Which I can't believe that when Paige arrives, when she gets out of the car, she goes, "I have to pee so bad," and then she goes in and meets everyone and hugs everyone. I was like, couldn't be me. I'd be sprinting to that hallway and then talking to everyone. I was like, I don't have time to talk if I'm saying I have to pee so bad. I'm not joking.
Yeah, I know. I would have said piss, 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 piss. I got and run past them all. So Carl does say, "Let me take a certified," and then and then Jess hot mic, and it wasn't as bad. I thought it was bad the first time I listened to it. I thought it was like
it was just sad.
I thought it was like, but it was instead it was one big.
I killed them all, of course.
It was one big sigh, like.
I mean, he's in for like. Think about how fucking horrible. Like he is like earning his paycheck walking into this hellmouth. You know what I mean? Like she's like, I don't give a fuck. Like she's always like, I'm just gonna have fun. I'm gonna be me. Like it doesn't feel like she like thinks about it. Like she's just like, I do what I want. And he's like, I'm in for absolute hell. This is gonna be horrible. Turtle
Time, the one podcast that likes Carl.
We fail completely. They like take it off the app store. They're like, fuck you.
No,
executive order.
Seriously, I mean, like, you know, I don't know who else recapped Summer House or what the consensus is. You already said it's awful. He's a despicable, vile human that should be fired immediately. But it's like, I feel bad for him. He dry heaves. Now he has to go out. Lindsay has already held court and has this pregnancy announcement that they've all bonded over. And then he has to go, "Hey guys, you know, how's it going? Remember me?"
And I have to say, like, I'm sure that whenever we eventually rewatch Summer House from the very beginning, I'll be like, I know that he was like a shitbag for years. Like he was like in a bad place the entire time he was on the show. I'm talking about like sober Carl, who seems very accountable for his flaws, who seems like all he cares about is sobriety but of course people will be like, he's not sober, like he's like smoking weed and like drinking Red Bulls and being a piece of shit. And I'm like, every time I hear him talk, he's very like, he's trying really hard to like live a better life. I just don't understand.
Yeah. Neither do I, and I didn't last season either. I mean, what is there to say? We can only go off how you and I feel. We're trying to be honest and truthful, and I don't know. I don't understand how you. Well, whatever. I'm not going to get into that. I just don't understand how you're just like number one Lindsay stan. Don't you remember? Like I was wondering when she was on Watch What Happens Live. I was like, who did she throw her shoe at on Andy's crew during Watch What Happens Live? He goes, "You're just the same old Lindsay." He goes, "Lindsay, don't worry about you changing at all. You're the same old Lindsay." I was like, oh my God, she just got done throwing a shoe at someone on his staff.
I think you can tell he low key is like, I have your number. I know everything about you, but whatever.
Yeah, seriously. She also. Oh wait, we're done, right? So Carl goes. Carl just kind of almost barfs, and then he's going out. And I knew they were gonna end the episode with that. Let's talk about the highlights of what's coming up because it looked amazing. We get the Kyle and Craig Loverboy Spritz Society shit, which I cannot wait for. I can't believe that that's a part of this season. I'm so glad they caught that.
Yeah, we get Jesse and Lexi will kiss at some point. That new guy, Emerald. Carl says he hasn't had sex in a year. Sierra's becoming anti-Craig. She says he's giving hater energy. There's the clip of Paige crying about the breakup.
Oh, that was wild. Oh, my God.
There's a Jesse, Lexi, Sierra love triangle, potentially.
We didn't
Paige versus Kyle.
Oh, yeah, because Paige is defending Craig, I think, in the Spritz Society Wars or the Seltzer Wars. And so he calls her Two-Face, and she hears him, and she comes storming out to confront him. And then she talks shit about him being a wannabe Diplo or whatever, which we saw that clip. Also, we didn't say that, I don't want to say that there was, like, sparks flying, but there was I don't know if people find this cute. They might find it creepy, but Jesse was like, Sierra, can this be our summer? And she was just kind of like, just bring my suitcase. And then they hold the suitcase handle at the same time, and he goes, look at what's happening. And I was like, whoa, I mean, that might lead into Sierra thinking that Jesse is...
She really likes him. It came up on Watch What Happens where she was like, they were like, would you ever date Jesse, and she didn't say no. She was just like, I cannot be dating another TV person. But she was like, I love him to death. Like, she was like, I feel like in another world she would. But okay, and then we get the clip. I was so glad that they already have it ready. The picked up filming back again in Lindsay's apartment, just like opposite of last time. 6 months later, Paige talking about Craig implying that she caught him cheating or like texting other girls, and Lindsay's pumping all throughout for comedy. But I'm like, I'll say this. If you want to say that I always take the man side, between Craig and Paige, guess what? I don't really give a fuck either way.
Wow, so wait. So not on Paige's side.
I don't like what either of them have said. I'm like, I don't know what the hell happened between you two, but I haven't heard the evidence to take a side. Like, I don't really care.
Yeah, and I'm different than you. I care deeply. I think about it all the time.
Whose side are you on?
You know what? I'm not on any side. Well, I'll just say this. There's some evidence that could come to light where Craig is like, I want to live on a farm right now, and I'm a huge hater of you, Paige, and I resent all of your success, and then shut my mouth, slap the sticker of moron or dunce on my head. But in my opinion, I'm just speaking personally for me now, as Riley Hamilton, a human, I would be sad if I was Craig, even if it was a month before Thanksgiving, just like we were kind of talking about a little bit with Lindsay being like, with Turner Koofy, it was like, let's pick up and make love and have a baby. I would be a little sad if I was Craig and I was like, and please don't hate this opinion. Please, just let me be honest about myself. If I was dating for someone for 3.5 years and we had talked about kids and marriage and I didn't know it was ending, and then all of a sudden to know that Paige is in another relationship, even though we don't technically know that's true, but I mean, come on. I mean, there's a little bit of evidence. I've seen hand holding and shit. People send us stuff.
Traveling.
It's the same guy. It's like, and she said she's technically single, but come on. I mean, and I'm not, it's not at all about her moving too fast. I just personally would feel bummed out and sad. And so I have to just accept like that Craig is sad, and you make stupid decisions when you're sad, and him not exonerating her of the cheating. I legitimately think that he's like, I don't know. I mean, she got in a relationship within 2 months after we broke up and is in a seemingly committed relationship with someone else. So I don't know if she started to send texts back and forth with this person and started to emotionally cheating. And I'm not saying Paige did. I'm just saying, for me, I love Paige more than life itself. One of my favorite Summer House cast members of all time. I would just personally, if I put myself in Craig's shoes, I would be bummed out. So, yeah. And I do care, actually. I actually do care what ended up being the final straw for Paige, because I know that she might always be ambiguous about it, but I think the last piece of the puzzle for me is just like a tell-all or a memoir or whatever Paige wants to do with that information, of just being like, this is the 10-minute version of why I didn't think Craig was right for me. I still don't think we've heard that, so yeah. I'm interested in it still.
Watch What Happens, Sierra like laid into Craig and was like, he's like basically a lying piece of shit. And
he does lie.
Yeah.
He does lie. So I have to take what he says with a grain of salt. But I'm just speaking of just the facts of broke up around Thanksgiving, you get the miss me text, and then by New Year's Eve or whenever Paige was with that person, I would be personally sad that they had moved on in 2 months.
I do think, because Sierra made a good point where she was like, I think he should have defended her and said she wasn't cheating just to call off the online hounds, because she did that for him over the years, which I'm like, we can't forget. I was watching a video that brought up good points on TikTok that was like, remember he got kicked out of Kyle and Amanda's wedding. He was like throwing fucking plates around at the house. Like, he had really poor behavior for a long time that Paige really like did good PR for him, like being like, he's a good man, So I feel like almost her doing that over the years has fucked her now, because everyone is like, he's amazing, he's perfect, why did you break his heart? And she's like, I made him look that way, but he was like a fucking disaster for like half of our relationship.
Little does everyone know that Craig broke a lamp at Winter House and put the lampshade on his head and danced on a table. I was also thinking about Taylor's iconic one and only line from Southern Charm when she goes, "What about your girl cheated on you?"
Right. Yeah, I'm just like, I mean, maybe there's a bombshell. I have a feeling that they're just like both hurt, and it unfortunately ended badly when it could have ended fine. And I'm just kind of like, I have my issues with both of them, so I'm like, I can see both sides.
What are your issues with Paige?
I don't know. She's kind of like annoying.
Whoa! About what? About
like, she's funny, but she's kind of just like, it's like her way or the highway, you know?
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, I'm still, I don't know. I guess it's more of a source of curiosity for me, just because I thought it was a fun relationship to think about. But, I
just mean I don't have, like, whenever I read people that are anti-Paige, a whole thread of being like, she knew that she didn't want to be with him and she broke his heart. I'm like, I don't know, like, you think that you can be in a relationship until you decide that you can't. Like, I don't give a shit. Right. And then when I hear on his side, I'm like, yeah, that sucks. If like you guys had conversations about rings and weddings and stuff, and then she broke it off, I'm like, that sucks too, but that's life.
Yeah, it's a perfectly like nuanced conflict where it's probably people are divided completely with how they feel, and I don't pick a side. I just want to know everything that happened, just because it's the end of a huge relationship. I mean, I don't need to know. I mean, I don't have to know.
Yeah, but I am excited that it's on both shows going to play out in greater detail, because then maybe I will have a little bit more of like an opinion, because right now I'm just like, I thought the thing that annoyed me, if I want to just blame everything on Lindsay Hubbard, when she was in the Watch What Happens clubhouse, she was like, yeah, Craig is like making himself a victim. Like, I got dumped. I'm the ex. Like, she's like, he's really milking it. I was like, you basically like borderline like wrote a book. Like, I got dumped and like, here's my campaign about being blindsided. Like, you basically like made a career out of it over the last year. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Totally. Did she say blindsided this episode?
The clip. They had a clip.
I wonder if that hashtag is still going strong. Lindsay blindsided.
Yeah. Hashtag he did you a favor.
Exactly. Well, I think we ripped it up. We dissected the shit out of Summer House. Anything else to talk about? I mean, it looks like an amazing season. We're back with the people we love to watch, for sure. I can't wait to see Carl's dynamic in that house and how everybody reacts to him and how he reacts to this new world with Lindsay. It's I can't remember. I don't know if there's a precedent for this. I mean, I know there is on other Bravo shows, but the fact that Carl and Lindsay have to be in the same house after breaking up and calling off a wedding is pretty shocking, that we get to see them interact like in a house. So I can't wait for that.
A lot to look forward to. But
cool.
Yeah, we'll be back.
All right. Well, please review Amy and I, and also please give us a positive review or a negative if you have to. I understand if you got really pissed off during this episode and you want to give us a bad review. And then also, if you need more stuff while I'm on vacation and we're not doing as much Turtle Time, there is a wonderful sanctuary for Turtle Time heads where you can pay $5 a month. It's called the Turtle Time Patreon, and there you can get access to the entire archive of us recapping Vanderpump Rules from season 1 all the way to season 6 of Vanderpump Rules so far. So $5 a month. Join us there.
Join us.
All right. I will bid you all adieu. And I hope that you all have a wonderful Valentine's Day. I hope little Cupid spins around in circles and shoots a little arrow into you, providing you with a lot of love.
Bye-bye.
Bye.